welcome back. Another episode of Channel 914. As always, I'm your host, Rios Allen, and this week I am back with another illustrious guest. Illustrious being the operative word. This is Attorney Rios, owner and principal attorney of the 7-Eleven Law Group. I'm going to give you one more round of applause. Everybody give it up for India Rios. So how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am just fucking peachy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just happy to be here. Happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, glad you're able to come, you know.
Me too.
All right, so as the attorney of the 7-Eleven Law Group, but you are originally not from Chicago, right?
That's true.
You are from Youngstown, Ohio.
I am. Young Rack City.
Young Rack City, is that what they call it?
That's what I'm calling it, just to put it on the map.
I ain't never heard anybody refer to Youngstown as other than anything but Youngstown. Is there a nickname for Youngstown? Do y'all call it something? What y'all call it?
The Yo.
The Yo?
Yes. That's the official nickname.
That's the official
in
nickname?
Ohio, so Youngstown is the Yo, Cleveland is the Land.
Okay, I know the Land because of LeBron, obviously.
Columbus is the Bus.
The Bus?
Yeah, the Bus. Cincinnati, the Nasty Natty.
The Nasty. I know you said. I heard that before too.
Yeah, so everybody, I feel like, Akron doesn't have one.
What can you say? Because Akron doesn't lend itself to a nickname for real. Like the Act? Can you call it? No, it doesn't have a.
The Ron? I don't know. That's.
I'm sure they got a nickname there. They call it something.
They calling it something. We not calling it.
Yeah,
I'm not calling it.
We don't know. Hey, anybody from Akron, if you watching this, man, put the nickname in the comments, man. Let us know what y'all call yourselves, or y'all city, I should say.
For sure.
So how was that experience for you, man? How was it growing up in Youngstown?
I guess it was interesting. You don't recognize that you're in a smaller town until you live in a bigger one. Mm-hmm. I guess that's one thing I can say. You don't recognize that you live in a smaller town until you live in a bigger one. And you don't recognize all the small town politics and everybody know everybody and be in the same places, go to the same 3 schools, like 3 elementary schools, 3 middle schools, 3 high schools. We all know each other pretty well, so definitely that. One thing I will say, compared to Chicago, I don't want to say I feel like I'm lucky that I grew up in the small town that I grew up in with the environment that I grew up in, because my mouth could be extra slick. This is not a safe environment, I feel like, for slick-witted young girls.
I mean, it's a lot of them here, but it definitely, it's things can happen here.
Yeah.
A little differently than they probably would happen in Youngstown.
And I think times were different too.
Obviously, yeah, absolutely.
Growing up in that time, even though it wasn't that long ago, I think that young people today are different than the young people of my day.
Oh yeah.
Even though I'm still very young, very
young,
very young,
very young.
I want to look directly in the camera for that.
So, in terms of you say you spoke to a little bit about the differences and how it is you being in a big city now. And you looking back on your upbringing. So how do you feel like that shaped you in any way? I
do. I think that it is a lot of at least my mannerisms and the way that I go about a lot of things. I'm very much a let you get in front of me in traffic person. I'm a hold
definitely
the
not
door.
A Chicago trait.
I'm gonna hold the door open behind me if I see a stranger walking towards the same door.
Right.
It's a natural thing for me to hold that door, and that's not necessarily the way of the land. Obviously, this isn't my first big city. I lived in some other cities.
Right.
But I would say out of all of the cities that I've lived in so far, this has been the city that I've learned to navigate the easiest, and the one that I've been I feel like the most at home at.
Yeah. I mean, still Midwest.
Yeah, very Midwestern.
Yeah. So you just said that you lived in other cities. So you were in the Navy. I was. So you've actually been all over the world.
Literally.
Yes. So what led to that decision? What made you want to enlist in the Navy?
One thing I'll say about my life, because I'm sure you're going to ask me several times today, like, what made you do this? What made you do that? You know, how did you come to this place? And I don't have a lot of, like, definitive answers. I really joined the Navy on a whim. I had took the ASVAB. One day I was supposed to have, like, a chemistry test.
What is the ASVAB?
I don't know what ASVAB stands for. Okay. Like, I probably did know at one point. But it's an entry-level test for the armed forces. It kind of gives you, like, a rating. It's similar to, like, the ACT or the SAT, but it's for the military.
Gotcha. Okay.
I had took that test one day randomly because I didn't want to go to chemistry because we had a chemistry test, and I wasn't prepared for that. So they were like, oh, you could go to the library and you could take the ASVAB. And you can miss like first through fourth period, and I really didn't want to go to any of those classes. So then in this test that doesn't affect my grades at all, I could go take it instead and just bubble blow whatever. Yeah. And
abracadabra, man.
I went to the bathroom at the end of second period. When the second period bell rang, I went to the bathroom because I had already bubbled through everything. Okay. Like I was like, I'm done with this. I'm bubbled through. So I had bubbled through, went to the bathroom, never came back. I didn't even think they had graded that test because of how I had left. I didn't know really what they had ended up doing with that. It wasn't, so the military wasn't on my mind at all. I had just so happened to take the ASVAB. Fast forward, maybe a year later, I graduated from high school. Me and some of my friends were hanging out at this gas station. And there was a recruiter there. We all had like our cap and gowns on. We weren't hanging out. Like we were like getting supplies. But we all had our cap and gowns on. And this recruiter, he just walked up on us and just asked us like, hey, you guys just graduated from high school. What are you going to do now? And my friends was naming different places they were going. I had got accepted into like Wayne State University in like Michigan somewhere. Which
I heard of Wayne State.
Which is really wild that I was ever considering going to live in such a place. But anyways.
Deep-seated hatred for Michigan. We'll get into why later.
Yeah. But, so like I had got into school there, but I really didn't have any like real plans for like going. Like I knew I had got in, but I hadn't like really put anything into actually attending. And the recruiter, he was talking to us, and everybody had plans, and they was telling him what they was gonna do. And I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And he was like, you should join the Navy. I was like, you don't know what you're gonna do? I got a perfect plan for you. You should join the Navy. And then I was like, oh really? Why is that? And he was like, well, you know, they all going to pay somebody where they going to be. You can go somewhere and get paid. And baby,
sold.
Say less. Money talk. Say less. I could get paid. And at the time, I want to say it was like $1,000 a month. And that was a lot of money to me.
Oh, especially as coming straight out of high school?
Oh, $1,000 a month.
That's
all expenses
$250 a week?
Paid.
Right, yeah.
And all expenses paid. They paying for me to live. They paying for me to eat. They feeding me every day. They provide meals. They paying for living expenses. They doing the health care. Like, and I get this band every month. It sounds amazing. Where's your office? I literally asked, where's your office? And he told me, he was like, oh, we're located in the Southern Park Mall by such and such. Like, he told me exactly where it was at. And, you know, we had that little interaction, and it might have lasted maybe 10 minutes. Okay. I want to say, like, top to bottom, that whole conversation, meeting him, seeing him, whatever.
Right.
But Monday morning, I was on the WRTA. I caught the city bus to the mall to go see about that 1,000.
and the rest is history.
And the rest is history. It's so funny, too, because they called my parents that same day. Because, like, I had took the ASVAB, so it was, like, really easy to, like, streamline me to, like, pretty much being enlisted, like, in no time or whatever. But they had called my dad that same day, like, hey, yeah, I was calling my dad, like, oh, I need you to come sign these papers for me so I go to the Navy. My dad was at work, and he was like, oh, stop playing on my phone. And the man snatched the phone out of my hand. Like, oh, this is Petty Officer Marino with the United States Navy. I got your daughter here, and we about to make a sailor out of her. My father was like, where are you? Blah, blah, blah. My father hung up on him. 10 minutes later, my father, in his work clothes, was at the office.
Like, so what's going on here?
Yeah, no, talking about you need some money. He thought I was about to leave right then and there. Like, oh, y'all taking her today? Give me a hug. Like, yeah, like he was ready. He was ready. Like, you need a couple dollars? Like, he was ready to send me about. Yeah, he was like, oh yeah, this happening now? He was ready. It's like, no, sir, not today. Not today.
You can have it today if you want. You don't have to wait. We can go right now.
Yeah, she ready. Time is now.
So how did you enjoy? What was that experience like, man? How was it for you?
The Navy, to be honest, it was like a bittersweet experience. I could say I've experienced some of the greatest highs of my life in the Navy, and especially experiencing and recognizing my own personal capabilities and strengths. But then also at the same time, it was a very oppressing experience because the Navy is not a place for individuals. And I am very much an individual.
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah,
I would agree. It's
not a place for individuals. And I respect that. I respect the institution for what it is. It's just truly not a place for individuals. But like when I talk about peaks, I mean, I had never been on an airplane before.
Really?
Yeah, I had never been on an airplane before. I had very limited experience with the dentist. I had maybe been to the dentist one time in my life before. I had joined the Navy, in which they was doing full dental workups and whatever the case may be.
Right.
I had never, I did not know how to swim. I had never put my face underwater before I had joined the Navy. I had never been submersed in water in my entire life. I
just living up to the stereotype.
You know what? And it really is sad, but I grew up in a time where I wasn't allowed to get my hair wet. I truly wasn't allowed. I'm sure as a child, if they wouldn't have been not allowing me, I would have been more than happy to jump in the water.
I'm sure.
And learn how to swim, early on in life. But I just really wasn't allowed. And I'm happy to see, more Black moms coming away from that and not, enslaving their children to that system of, no, you can't get your hair wet. And
right.
It's going to be a 10-year process of me pressing it down and all the rest of that. We living a lot freer now. So that's a good thing. And then the Navy also, it exposed me to billion-dollar systems. But most importantly, it really exposed me to business. The Navy is big business, and it exposed me to America as a business and the way that America does business. And it really gave me, I would say, my first taste of power, even at a very low level. Because even being even if you're an E0 at the lowest rank possible in the enlisted ranks of sailors or whatever, you could be at the very bottom. When you on that ship or when you approach somebody from another country or another ship, they are going to yield to you, So that's a taste of power that you don't know, because to the Navy, even you're nobody. Right. But to these people on the outside of the Navy looking in, you're somebody. You know what I mean? And it showed me in examples, I could say being deployed, we'll come to your town, release 5,000 sailors who'd been out to sea for 90 days straight onto your land, and we will trash it. And not even purposely, not to say that American sailors are going abroad ransacking things, because I definitely don't want to create that narrative. But if you had 90 days worth of pent-up frustration and 90% of your crew is between the ages of 18 and 25, right? And you've been out to sea looking at water for 90 days straight, and you get your first taste of land, of the bar, of liquor, of food. Yeah. You're gonna turn up. Yeah. It's gonna happen. It's really just only a matter of time. But the thing about it is, I remember being in places like Portugal. I'll never forget, we were in Portugal, Lisboa, Portugal. When we had arrived in Portugal, the ship was so large that we couldn't pull up to their pier because we'd rip it off. So that's the first sign of power. And this is where their military is housed. We pulling up to where their military is housed at. And we can't pull up to their pier because we'll rip it off. We got to take water taxis to and from. We got to anchor out and take water taxis to and from pier for Liberty. Because they facilities can't handle that. And then to get there and to come off the ship and to club hard all night into the wee hours, and then get back on the ship, and then the next morning to come outside for breakfast and to see people cleaning up your mess, literally cleaning up all of your cups and trash and paper from the massive crowds that was out there. But for them to be cleaning it and be so happy to see you again. Like, come and see us tonight, friends. Come and see us tonight. Shots, breakfast shots, mimosas. We're having a party tonight. Like, re-inviting us. And the power of money, because we just released $20 million into your economy.
Right.
Between pulling the ship up and the water taxis and everything that it takes and all the hotel services, getting water, getting food, onboarding supplies, onboarding people, us having fun, the ship spending money on that, tours, excursions, liberty. So it was a eye-opening experience, and an eye-opening experience to see how you could play with people with sticks and carrots. Like, you're going to do what I want you to do. I could schedule a port visit there. But if y'all not acting how I want y'all to act in Turkey, we can't send any visitors to y'all. We can't, you know what I mean? That works and those dynamics of it.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective that you don't necessarily hear a lot. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. So very eye-opening.
Very eye-opening.
And then you got to see the world.
And I did. Traveled, swam on the equator, literally. Like, I've jumped off the ship on the equator, got to do swim call. I obviously got over my fear of putting my face under the water. Obviously. You know what I'm saying? They helped me with that. They wasn't gentle at all, but they definitely made sure I could swim, you know. And just all types of experiences, going to visit all types of countries, getting to do different experiences and excursions, getting to meet different people. It was amazing. But like I said, because I never want people to think that I'm like a Navy poster child. Very oppressive. Very oppressive environment.
Don't forget that part.
Do not forget that. Very oppressive. Very racist. Very sexist. Very sexist place. Very racist place. The ship that I was on had just started getting females. I was the first female sailor in my division.
Wow. And what year was this?
2007 or 2008. And it wasn't like the Navy had integrated, but the thing with integration is it could be a slow thing, especially when you need to turn male sleeping quarters into female sleeping quarters. You need enough men to leave the ship to convert that sleeping quarter into a female one. You know, some militaries, they house their women and their men together. And I think that in American society, we're going to move to that place too, to be honest, even with like the restrooms and things of that nature. You know,
that's already happening.
Yeah, like it's going to be like unisex everything, especially to cut down on the potential to offend anyone. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you can't offend anybody. You cut down on the potential to offend anyone or have any liabilities in that way. But yeah, very oppressive, very sexist, very racist. My first day on my first command, my first ship ever, the USS Velagolf, may she rest in peace. She been decommed. But my first time ever on that ship, I'll never forget. I was meeting the most senior sailor for enlisted sailors. So this supposed to be like my HR. Okay. Like this supposed to be like my HR go-to, right? If I got a problem, somebody doing something to me, I'm supposed to be able to tell him. And the sailor who dropped me off had closed the door behind him, and he popped up and opened the door and was like, I'm going to open this door back up because a pretty little colored girl like yourself, I wouldn't want anybody to think anything inappropriate was going on in here. Wow. And I had never been called colored before. I had never even experienced, you know, one thing I can tell you about my hometown, my small hometown of Youngstown, Ohio, is it's really black. Black and Latino. And I spent almost my whole life and my whole youth life in this black and Latino bubble. I really didn't have a lot of white experience or a lot of white interactions. And the few white interactions that I had always been positive. So I wasn't tapped in to racist society for real. And then in 2008, you get called a cute little colored girl. Yeah, I get called a cute little colored girl. And I'm just like, colored. But he would always, and you know, and in his defense, not to defend him, because that was very racist, but I can honestly say that he was somebody who was saying racist things, and I do not believe that he was aware. That he was not aware, or that he wasn't aware. Like, to him, it was either acceptable or he wasn't aware. I don't know. He was all types of random things. Like, wasn't this Martin Luther King Boulevard? We see like a bunch of random people hanging out. He literally said that to us one time. Like, wasn't this? Well, I guess it is. I mean, whatever you say, Master Chief. Funny the master had to go in front of that. Yeah, no, I mean, I really did. Yeah, I mean, that's his right. Yeah, that's his right. Like, yeah, whatever you say. Let me get out your way, sir. He strikes me as the type of person that would say like nigger. You know what? I feel like he would. I feel like he would say something like that. I honestly feel that. One thing I will say about him though is that under his tenure, I had got in trouble a couple times, and he was really cool about it. Like he wasn't a real whip cracker. That's so crazy that I wish I didn't say that. That's like no pun intended. That really. Come on.
It was so appropriate though.
He wasn't. Master was good. No, like,
good master. Master was good to her.
Like no. I don't mean that at all. I'm just saying he was cool. Like he could have been like giving me max out punishment. And he was giving me the lightest punishments of them all. Like I should be in trouble for 30 days. I'm only in trouble for 10.
Well, it's probably because he thought you were a cute little colored girl.
Maybe that was.
Master Chief probably wanted a little chocolate, a little cocoa in his coffee. What did he put? What's the expression? You know what the hell I'm trying to say.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised.
Yeah, man. So Navy did you well. Despite its oppressive nature and all the other stuff, you still overall you would say you had a good experience. You think it helped? It definitely helped you.
It did way more for me than it helped me way more than it hurt me. Even when it comes to like controlling my mouth, like that was a good test playground for me to get in trouble but not be able to be fired. Like you ain't fired from the Navy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That was a good test ground for me to learn. About my consequences for my actions all the time as an adult. Right. It was a good test ground for me to test the bounds. And I could honestly say, not to sound, I don't know, like a hustler, but the Navy is probably one of the first places that I really started learning about like finessing and like dealing with people in the right way, like on some whatever you say. Like, oh yeah, whatever you say. Like, oh, okay. Or oh, I'm going to just be standing here with this broom, and if anybody walks by, I'm going to start sweeping. Nobody will say anything to me. I'm not going to work all day. I'm just standing here with this broom. It kind of like helped me.
It was funny because I had a boss that was in the Navy, and he used to tell me all the time, like he would just, wherever he was going, he would walk real fast, and he would carry a hammer with him. So he wouldn't be doing shit. But he just always like, this is how, so people don't stop you, people don't ask you, because if you look like you're not doing nothing, they're going to give you something to do.
You will be tasked.
Yeah, they're going to give you something to do. So he could just be going to the bathroom, going somewhere to chill. He's going to walk real fast. He's going to carry like a hammer or a screwdriver or something, just to look like he's doing some shit.
I'll give you a really good example, right? So everybody in the Navy, especially on a ship, everybody in the Navy is a damage controlman. Okay. I don't care what your rate is. Okay. Because we start flooding. We're not calling 911. It's a fire. Who we calling? You know what I'm saying? Something happened on this ship. This us. We got to keep the ship afloat. So one of the things that I learned very early on in the damage control space is that at the very bottom of the totem pole is somebody on a hose. Right? So you got your hoseman. Then you got your nozzleman. Then you got the person behind the nozzleman, phone talker to the locker. But then you got people that's not in the fire at all. You got people that's upstairs, outside of the fire, not in the engine room, not hot. They don't even have on flash gear, right? And they talking on the phone. They controlling the fire, getting the fire taken care of without being sweaty and hot. Once I caught on to shit like that, I started becoming qualified. That's probably one of the greater things, too, that I realized is that the more qualifications I have, the less labor I'm going to be doing. The more valuable. Because we can lose somebody on the hose who don't know any of these other positions. Right. We can't lose the locker leader. We can't have her at the fire. Yeah. She the only person that know how to run the locker from up here. So once I recognized that, and that it was ways to, like, play on that, I started becoming super qualified. I was surface warfare and air warfare qualified before I was even a petty officer, which is like a big deal in Navy talk. It means I had 2 warfare designators. I was qualified to run all types of different little things, and I was a horrible sailor. Horrible. I never got one award. Not one award. They give awards in the Navy to people just for leaving one command, going to another command, in the tour. That's like a gimme. Never gave me one. They never gave me one. And I never had any qualms. I was like, because if y'all gave me a NAM, I just have to spend more money putting that NAM on my rack, and it wouldn't make me any more money anyway. I just spend more money. Y'all have another ribbon to inspect during inspections.
Don't matter you.
Yeah. But being air warfare and surface warfare got you points towards your advancement, which counted towards your check.
And then that's what was most important.
Yeah, so it was very much
You knew what you had to focus on.
Yeah, they was teaching valuable lessons early on.
So, from the Navy, you then went to The Ohio State University.
I am so happy that you did not disparage our trademark and that you put that "the" in front of it like that.
Well, I'm a avid supporter of the Ohio State University football team.
Yes.
So I'm definitely gonna put that, and that explains the hatred for the entire state of Michigan that she has.
I know. I can't believe I almost went to school like that. That wee little community college.
That wee little community.
I almost went out there.
So from Youngstown to the Navy to The Ohio State University to now, somewhere in there, you decided you wanted to be an attorney.
Yeah.
So take me through that. Like, when did that happen?
I don't know. I feel like I keep saying, I don't know. It was a progression. It really was. I think if you don't catch anything else, it's kind of like you really don't have to have anything figured out. Things will work out if you just keep kind of moving around, I guess. Because I really, so I kind of thought I wanted to be a lawyer when I started, right? When I started going to Ohio State, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer.
Okay.
But I was on the fence, and I have like a thirst for power. That's what it always comes to. The Navy showed me power, and then I think just growing up in poverty, you know what I'm saying, and recognizing that people was living better than me at different levels in different ways, you know what I mean? I've always kind of just had like this hunger for power. Right? And, attorneys, that's one of the most powerful professions in this nation. Most presidents that we've had have been attorneys. Yeah. Everybody who make all of the rules that really matter are attorneys.
Yeah, people in leadership positions all over.
People in leadership positions all over are attorneys. Anytime you see large quantities of cash exchanging hands, there are always a lot of attorneys around. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was really more of a power affiliation to me. I felt like, and I really had thought that I had wanted to lobby. Mm-hmm. I thought that I was like more interested in politics. I learned that I wasn't by working a couple campaigns. So I worked some political campaigns in Ohio, a lot of fundraising, a lot of schmoozing. Not really a big fan of that. So I wasn't feeling it. And to lobby, you have to work those campaigns first because you got to build all those connections, right? Right, absolutely. Or be born into the right family and, your daddy was lobbying, now you lobbying.
Right, yeah.
I don't have that situation.
Yeah, that wasn't your story.
Yeah, that's not my situation. Sorry, I wish. But for my kids, I'm coming through. We're going to get us some nepotism.
right.
Around here. But definitely, so I thought I wanted to lobby. I had actually kind of given up. I don't want to say given up. I had kind of got like discouraged. Applying to law school is hard. Taking an LSAT is a hurdle. It's like a whole new set of skills you got to learn. Right. And I wasn't doing very well with that at all, to be honest. I had went to a private class I had paid for. I had hired a tutor at one point for the LSAT. I skipped one, like I had paid and then just didn't go. And I didn't know that they was going to count that against me, but they do that. That's the record. Like if you sign up for the LSAT and you don't go, and then you finally go to the LSAT and you get your score, that non-attendance, non-excused or whatever, is like on the record. I had to write like a little explanation about.
Really?
Yeah, to the law school. As a part of my law school application, it was one of my addendums. They let you do like these different little like diversity addendum. Okay. They let you write all these different little statements, but if you got things you need to explain away, like a criminal record or something like that, well, I was explaining away
why you didn't show up.
I didn't show up to the LSAT that first time. Yeah, like I wasn't prepared. Like I just didn't feel prepared, and I just wanted to come when I was ready for real. I didn't want to have a bad score. I didn't know that they was, and I didn't know. I didn't know that they was gonna let y'all know that I didn't show the first time, or else I would have just at least just showed up,
At least you were honest.
Yeah, no. So I had put all of that stuff or whatever, and I'm sure there are many people, and I didn't score very high even then. Still, I think it's like you could get like the highest you can get is like a 150. I probably got like a 130. Okay, it's not high. Okay. It was not high at all. But so that was like a barrier, and it was discouraging for me. And it was just like, it's a lot. It's a huge undertaking just to apply. So just to apply to law school, it's a huge undertaking. It costs a lot to apply. Every application was like $100, $150. Some institutions want $250. So the application fees are really expensive. Then you need people to write you letters, and you got to write your own statements. Some of them have like essay prompt questions that they want you to do like written mini essay responses to, and it's a major thing to apply, just to apply. So cool. If anybody who ever applied and you didn't get into anywhere, shout out to you for even trying to apply. You know what I mean? Because it's not easy at all. So at one point I was just like, I feel like I'm just doing a lot, and I was really tired. I had been going to Ohio State for maybe a year and a half, going on 2 years, but I went to school when I was going to OSU. I was going full time year round.
Okay.
So I went full time all seasons, and I did that because I wanted to use my GI Bill. I wanted to max out my GI Bill, right? Okay. So if you go full time all seasons, you use less months than if you spread it out and it's like a day counter system or whatever, but they give you days back. So the way that I did it, I managed to have like a year and a half worth of GI Bill left to use in law school. Okay. And I wanted to have GI Bill left, right? That was like the goal. But I was tired too, because I had been going to school for 18 credit hours a semester, and I have been working full time, like at David's Bridal or Macy's or wherever I was working back then. So like I was really just tired, and I was starting to have second thoughts about going to school again. And and I listened to like this, like, I don't know, I used to have this advisor, in undergrad they like assign you people. So my advisor that I was assigned to, I was telling him like, I really want to go to law school. I've been working at this and that, but I didn't do that great in the LSAT. And he started telling me like, oh, I just don't even think that you have a lawyer's personality. And I think that you should be in like sales, marketing, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't think that being a lawyer is for you. I don't think that you'll do well in law school because I just don't think that that's like your fit for real. I think you should consider like moving to like, I don't know, somewhere warm, or having like, like going to like a party town like Miami or LA and launching like a real estate empire there or something like that. Like that was like his vision for me. Like, and he like was like dead set. And I feel like I might have listened to him too much in a sense, because I was kind of like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna like take a year. So when I graduated so I stopped trying with those applications, doing any of the rest of that stuff. I graduated from Ohio State, and then I ended up getting a job at a law firm, at a real estate law firm. And it was like a total like whim. It's crazy how things can happen, I feel like, in certain places, because I never even applied for this job. A friend of mine was set for the interview. So a friend of mine was set for this interview with this headhunter or whatever, and for this position, and she was like, it's like the first round, but I decided I'm taking something else. My father hooked me up with something or whatever, so I wanted to reach out to you, see if you want to interview in my place, because like I know that like I have a connection, like I could just plug you basically if you wanted to do this. So I was like, yeah. Like, absolutely. I definitely want to check it out. So I went to the interview. It was a commercial, residential, real estate, transactional firm. They had like a small title agency that was connected to it as well, like one big business. And I went to that interview, and I mean, they really liked me, which I guess, looking back, they were okay, but they really liked me. I'll give them a lot of credit though. So they really liked me, and they hired me. And I was working there, and I had told them in the interview that I had really wanted to go to law school, but that, you know, I kind of had got discouraged by the LSAT and whatever. And then the guy that owned this law firm was telling me like, oh, I scored like a 110. He was really, he about to hire me. You know what I mean? He was like, I scored like a 110. He was like, I wouldn't let that discourage me if that's what you want to do, whatever. He was like, but we'll talk about it. We'll work on it. That's what he would say. We'll work on it or whatever. And I really didn't know like what to take that to mean, but he had explained to me, you know, because it was his father's business and his business together, and he was telling me like, you know, I worked here the whole time that I went to law school. I went to law school at night at such and such. I worked here, and they were like willing to pay like when it was time for me. So fast forward, I have been working there for a while. Major shout out to them because they showed me a lot about like automation and productization and things of that nature. But they were like pushing me to go to law school. They really were, because they really wanted me to go to law school, keep working there, and then like just be an associate there. It's like really one of the easiest ways to get an associate and not pay them what they really worth. Is to promote somebody from within and build this long relationship with them. You know what I mean? So
and give you a raise up above what they were already paying you. So
they pay you
it
more
seems like a
paid.
lot. Right.
Yeah, it seems like so much more, but it's not market value. You know what I mean? So
well aware.
Yeah, so they were like really trying to push me to go to law school at Central or Capital. That's the law school in Ohio. Okay. So it's a law school in Columbus, Ohio that has a night program. Okay. And they wanted me to go to Capital at night and to work there in the daytime. And they were even like offering to like pay for some of it because Capital is like private and I could have went to like public schools for a lot less. But they were like, we'll offset those public private costs. But then they wanted me obviously to sign an agreement that was saying that I was going to be working there for X number of years. You know what I mean? And after being in the Navy, I'm definitely a at-will employee, more of a 1099. I want to be able to quit. If I want to quit, I want to be able to quit. And I'm okay with you being able to fire me as long as I'm able to quit. So I wasn't really that interested. But the thing was that no matter what, they wanted me to apply and they wanted me to take that test. And he had basically told me at one point, like, if you don't take the LSAT, I'm just going to fire you. Because I just can't have this type of wasted potential around me. Oh, wow. Yes, I just can't have it. I can't have that energy around me. So, like, if you're not going to do it, I'm just going to fire you. And he would tell me all the time, like, it really doesn't make any sense because it was at a point where, like, I was doing his job every day, and I would have to like bring like a stack of papers to him for him to just sign everything. But it was to the point where he was signing it so fast, you know what I mean? Like I'm doing like, yeah, she really knows what she's doing. I have this very much under control. And he was like, yeah, like, don't you want to make more money?
Of course you do.
Don't you want to be in a better position, basically? So I went through the process and I started applying and stuff, but I applied to all schools outside of Ohio. All schools outside of Ohio because I knew that I was going to move around. But yeah, and then at that point it was just like, yeah, I should at least just go, and then I could do like real estate transactions if I want to. Right.
So do you still have a good like relationship with them? Were they pissed when you left?
Oh, very upset. Very, very upset. No, we do not have a good relationship at all. They were very, very upset. And when it was time for me to take the bar exam, I had to send, when you go to take the bar exam, you have to report all your employers for X number of years or whatever. And if you worked at any law firms, you got to get like this special letter from them. They was not trying to come up off my letter.
Really?
Yeah, they was not trying. And there's a procedure in place for if somebody's not willing to do the letter thing or whatever. And I had emailed them and asked them, like, am I going to have to do this procedure? Or are you guys going to submit the entry?
Wow. That's so petty.
They submitted it. They definitely were trying to, like, hold me up, I felt like.
That's crazy because at one point they were trying, when they thought you could help them, they were trying to motivate you. But then when you did it without them, now they're trying to hold you back.
Yeah.
Ain't that some shit?
Society. But that's what it's like. I mean, I don't knock them at all because I'm a capitalist too, right? Yeah. I don't knock them at all. So, yeah, why wouldn't I want to hold on to this person that I groomed up in my way?
That you put a lot of resources and investments into. Yeah. That's real.
when I came into that industry, I didn't know anything about it at all. So everything that I was doing, I did it exactly how he liked it. There were no bad habits, right? Everything that I do it exactly the way that you taught me how to do it. So how could you not love my work? I do it like you do it.
Right. So you want to hold on to that. Yeah. That's real.
At one point, I was going to quit on them. It's so funny. At one point, I was going to quit before it was time for me to go to law school because I just felt like I just wasn't making enough. And I basically like strong-armed my way into like a $5 raise. Like, yeah, he was so invested. He was just like, no, of course she wants to quit and go work somewhere else where they pay more.
And you still quit on their ass.
Yeah, but not immediately. I stayed for like another 6 months.
So now you are a fully licensed attorney.
I am.
And you are the owner and principal attorney of the 7-Eleven Law Group. And your primary practice is trademark law, correct?
Yeah, I would say trademarks. I would say my primary practice is just business.
Okay, business.
And trademarks to me is a part of business, right? I think about the small business, I guess, as a whole.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, the trademark is just part of business. In the legal eyes, no, it's intellectual property. But for the way my practice is set up, it's just really all about structuring the business and protecting the business.
So elaborate on that, like protecting that how? Like what?
So brand protection, trademarks are really all about protecting consumer expectations in the marketplace.
Okay.
So for those of you who don't know, a trademark can be any word, name, color, symbol, sound, logo, or source identifier, right? That creates a sense of source or expectation in the marketplace. Okay. So like common examples would be like Nike. You got Nike the word. Right. You got Nike the swoosh. You got Nike the word and the swoosh. You got Just Do It. That's the logo, right? You know what I mean? So like all of those are examples of different elements of their mark.
Okay, and those aren't all like separate trademarks, or there's all under?
They are all separate trademarks.
Okay. The
swoosh, the Nike plus the swoosh, all of them together. I'm sure Nike, if we pulled it up right now, probably has like 70 marks. Oh, wow, okay. Probably thousands of marks for real, to be honest, because anything that they can claim that they the source identifier for, they will, right?
Makes sense.
Yeah, so that's what trademarks are. So
it's funny that you mentioned Nike, because they are suing over trademark infringement right now. They're suing a couple of companies, actually. A Bathe and Ape being one that they just did, those Bape sneakers. Said the Oregon-based shoe giant has filed a federal court lawsuit against a Bathe and Ape for trademark infringement on the Nike Air Force One, Air Jordan 1, and Nike Dunk. The lawsuit claims that Bape's current footwear business revolves around copying Nike's iconic designs. The document also showcases 5 of Bape's top-selling footwear products, the Bape STA, Bape STA Mid, the Skate STA, Court STA, and High and the Court STA. And they are near verbatim copies of Nike's aforementioned sneakers. Nike claims that Bape's first introduced its trademark infringing footwear in the U.S. in 2005. So that's been a long time, and they're just now starting to go after Bape after all these years.
Maybe Bape just now got enough money for it to be worthwhile. So the thing with trademark law, one, is that once you have the right, once you've registered and you take ownership of whatever it is that you're taking ownership of, the responsibility lies with you, the mark holder, to police it. Right. So you have the duty of making people who are infringing against your mark stop. Right. And then if you don't make them stop, your mark could become generic. And I think that the reason that Nike is taking this even more serious right now is because there's just so many attacks on so many of their most classic designs that are like the powerhouse staples and bread and butter of their business, for real. Right.
So they also filed suit in the Southern District of New York against Nequan Arvinger and David Weeks of KIY or Key. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
I think it's Cool KIY.
Cool, maybe. It was KIY LLC, a.k.a. Cool KIY. We'll just go with KIY for right now because we don't know what the hell it is, for real. And Bill Omar Casacchio of Reloaded Merch LLC, Ami, a.k.a. Ami and the Hellcat. They have both of those brands, ironically, mirror each other. Like they kind of like plays off the Jordan 1 with kind of a lightning bolt design in the place of the swoosh. Definitely, obviously, an infringement on Nike's designs. But those have been doing it. They are first to contact Omi in October 5th of 2002. So once again, something. So like you said, maybe it's because all of these are happening now, and so many people are doing it. Maybe people are starting to think maybe they can get away with it, right?
Absolutely. I think what's going to happen, I have actually, I'm not going to say which brand of those brands that you just named or who from these lawsuits, but I've actually spoken to somebody from one of those camps because, I'm an entrepreneur and I will slide in your DMs like, hey, I can help you tailor these designs so that they can't say anything to you. I could tell you, what to change to make it more questionable whether you infringing or not. Like I could kind of help work with you to avoid this. And he was just like, oh no, I'm not making any changes. They trying to stop us, the establishment, but I'm going against the establishment and I got enough money. And I don't think necessarily that his mindset or his thought process was the best thought process, because I don't care how much money I have. I don't want to give it away in lawsuits or litigation.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that is a lot of litigation around it. But
especially when you're going against $1 billion company like
But
Nike.
people are aware. People are very aware of, like, I feel like that person was very aware that he was ripping them off. He was very aware of it.
I mean, it's pretty obvious when you look at the pictures.
And he was like, but no, I've taken it and made it better. I've taken this art to the next level. And maybe that's one way to think about it, if that's how you're thinking about it. But the way that they're thinking about it is that you guys operate in the same marketplace.
Right.
Your potential consumers are the same people. Everybody doesn't know that these aren't Nikes.
Right.
Or some type of Nike partnership or collaboration or spinoff or subsidiary of. Everybody doesn't know that. And that's what Nike is saying. Nike is saying, it's people out there that think that y'all with us. It's people out there that think that we together, and that's the problem. And the reason that they think that we together is because your design looks too much like my design, the one that I already own. Right,
the one that's been in place for years.
And they have an incontestable mark. So what that means is, like, after your trademark has been registered for, like, I think it's like 2 or 3 10-year periods or something like that. Don't quote me on the incontestability. But after a while, your mark can't be invalidated unless it's generic, right? And what makes a mark generic? Not stopping people from using it. Right. So they have an incontestable mark. It's the lifeblood of their business, for real.
Yeah. The swoosh. Yeah.
Of course they're gonna act. You know?
And it makes sense. But it's crazy that when you think about it in that way, that somebody, I mean, because it's so obvious when you look at the shoes, right? It's so obvious to think that they wouldn't have to. Or at least, because if they reach out to you and tell you, hey, we know that you're doing this, we're going to need you to stop it, even to give you a chance to, like, work with them.
So when they send that cease and desist, right, because that's step one. When they sent that cease and desist to whoever in 2002, maybe there wasn't any opportunity for conversations around licensing at that time because, they were nobody, and maybe they more important now. They obviously more of a problem now because they being sued, right? So sometimes I think that collaboration is where the money really is at. People kind of that be ready or too hyped to be, bumping heads or I'm standing on it, but you standing faulty. And this is just a prediction. I feel like a very sound legal prediction, though, based on what I know. Nike will laugh last. They will, and they will be compensated. And that's another thing. They can make it real uncomfortable for you to operate, and I think that that's already the case. I think it's already real uncomfortable for a lot of these brands to operate, and that's why they don't have storefronts. That's why you don't know where their warehouses are. Yeah, it's because Nike would be showing up every day with confiscating deceased orders and be confiscating destroy orders and snatching their stuff off the racks.
So it's funny that you say that, because in that lawsuit against Cool KIY and the other company, they also included there's a manufacturer in China where they're getting their products from. They included that, so like even where they're getting their products from, the distribution. And
you know what? And you know why that's really essential? Because trademark protection will allow you customs authority. And customs authority will allow you to stop pallets from entering the country at all. So they coming at the head,
right.
They coming at the source right there. They'll start showing up. Have you ever been to a flea market before and the real Coach people showed up?
Nah.
Or the real Louis Vuitton people showed up? So let me tell you, I have seen that happen.
Wow.
I have seen that happen. I have seen that happen at the flea market where the Coach man come with the police and an order and start swiping all them bags off of the table into trash bags and start handing ladies Coach coupons.
Wow.
Like, here you go. We're sorry, ma'am. We hope that this doesn't destroy your affiliation with our brand. Like, here's a coupon. Here's a coupon. But yeah, they can do that. They'll be able to do that. They'll be popping up at pop-ups. Once they win,
right,
they'll be popping up at pop-ups. And another thing too, because people are like, oh, this could go on forever, blah, blah, blah. This is not gonna go on that long. I see Nike winning on summary judgment. And that's not even a trial.
Okay. So
that's not even a trial.
Summary
judgment is after all of the evidence is in, like after the discovery has been exchanged,
right,
the depositions have been taken, whatever. You could do a motion for summary judgment. Is like no possible jury could see it any other way. And based on the law and these facts and these admissions, and that's the beauty about federal court. In federal court, there's an agreed upon record. Okay. Right? So the whole time you're building the record, but there'll be like an agreed upon statement of facts, things of that nature. Like you guys will have to start making admissions to each other to narrow the issues.
Okay.
Right? So in federal court, it's a much smoother process and it's much easier to be successful on a motion for summary judgment. But what that means is that they're not even really going to have to go to trial. Just based on the imagery, anybody could look at these shoes with a naked eye.
Obvious. It's so obvious.
Yeah, and they was here and they've been established. And even though these newer companies, especially that KIY company, I don't really know about those other companies. I know about Bape for real. But I feel like KIY, their recognition just boosted out of nowhere, right? Their recognition really just boosted out of nowhere, but in a major way that they seem to be taking up a lot of profit share. Like they operating too large in that space, and that's the reason why they had to be came after so quickly.
Right.
But my thing is this, for them, it's like, okay, yeah, y'all making a lot of money, y'all could fight this in litigation or whatever, but at what point do it make business sense? Because if they confiscating your products, if you can't open a storefront or you can't open up online or anything without them being able to shut you down, if your things can't come into the country, like at what point do you recognize that you kind of operating your business backwards?
That's facts. And it's funny that you mentioned how they kind of gained notoriety very quickly. When you think about, when Bape first started and when that other company owned me, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's OMI. So, but when those first started, that was like pre-Instagram, pre-Facebook, pre-social media, right?
Exactly.
So those brands spread via word of mouth, which is much slower. I feel like Bape really had, especially when Pharrell in the early 2000s had a really good run with those ice creams.
Absolutely. And I think that the thing with Bape is this, though. Bape sells so much other stuff.
A lot of other stuff.
They sell so much other stuff.
Yeah.
They don't just sell shoes. And they sell things that Nike don't sell.
A lot of it,
They sell a lot of stuff that Nike don't sell, like jeans, you know what I'm saying? Right. They sell a lot of stuff that Nike don't sell.
And they have more of a distinct look, but those shoes are definitely obviously a rip-off.
But that base model, that base model, it's a problem.
Right. So it just makes more sense now that with this company, like, growing in that space so quickly because of social media, right? So now, okay, we just can't come after you. Now we just got to come after everybody.
I think that it's we can't just come after you. We got to come after everybody. But I also think it's you kind of embolden these people. You being so flippant how you are is kind of emboldening them. It's making people think that they keep going. And we seeing money that should be in our pockets. As far as we're concerned, we're seeing money that should be in our pockets and yours.
Yeah.
Because if these knockoffs of my shoe wasn't on the market, they would have came and bought these shoes from me.
Right.
Like they were supposed to.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the real problem.
And Nike can't be out here having niggas
missing money.
Yeah. Having y'all think shit is sweet. It's not. It's not gonna work.
The original sweatshop curators.
Right.
Like, we do this.
Yeah. So there's also been another little trademark snafu, if you will, and it seems more of a misunderstanding of like what actually needs to happen in terms of trademark and copyright. So Caesar, a Black Ink crew, Black Ink has been around for a while. I've never really watched the show. I don't know if you watch Black Ink.
I have seen some Black Ink.
Yeah.
A long time ago when it first came out with like Duchess, and it was like the originals.
Yeah, I have no idea who that is. But this is one from, so I know there's one in Chicago, but the original was in New York. And Caesar was the creator of, the originator of Black Ink. But he was let go from the show last year after videos surfaced of him abusing his dog. And
I did not know that's what he had did.
I didn't know either.
That's what he gets too.
As a dog lover as
It
yourself.
is, yeah. I mean, he shouldn't have been doing that to that dog. Whatever he was doing.
Yeah, he came out with some explanation, but you know they gonna play that show. You abusing dogs? Oh no, you gotta get the fuck out of here.
But, modern day Michael Vick.
I didn't say that, you did. But so after the fact, he was recently, I saw he was on social media. I saw a clip of him discussing the fact that he thought he owned the name Black Ink, but turns out he has. So he said he filed a copyright on the name Black Ink, but the show is actually called Black Ink Crew, and Viacom, the company that owns the network where Black Ink is broadcast, actually owns the trademark for Black Ink Crew. So he doesn't own the name the way he thought he did. And I noticed that he was using the name copyright and not saying trademark. So can you kind of go into what the difference is and what misunderstanding he may have led to him making that mistake?
Okay, so as I previously mentioned, a trademark is any name, logo, color, sound that serves as a source identifier.
Right.
Right. And like I said, that could be anything like the Doom Doom on Law and Order, or Tiffany Blue, or the Chippendales Experience and that little collar
bow tie.
and the bow tie with
Yeah.
the wrist thing.
Yeah.
Like the Apple Store has a trademark for the Apple Store experience, like how they process you through and the layout and all of that. Things that are unique to you, that when people see them, they think of your business or your brand, even if they don't know necessarily who's behind it. Right. That's what trademark law does. And the purpose of trademark law, as I previously mentioned, is to prevent consumer confusion, right? It's that when I taste a Pepsi in Illinois, it tastes the same way as a Pepsi in Texas. Right. And then it's to also protect the goodwill of the mark owner. It's a lot of advertising dollars and things like that go into it. So to protect all of the money and time that they put into building up that brand recognition. Right. Copyrights, on the other hand, is for any tangible or for any piece of art that's in a tangible fixed medium of expression. Right. So that could be, this podcast is a piece of art. It'll be in a tangible fixed medium of expression. Photographs, music, movies, books, plays. So in Caesar's case, he may have gotten a copyright for the Black Ink logo. Right? He may have copywritten the Black Ink logo, which would stop people from being able to like put it in the center of t-shirts and do other ornamental things with it. But he didn't register the trademark, right? So when you find yourself in a position where one person is holding the trademark and one person is holding the copyright, the trademark is always going to be stronger. Right? And the reason that the trademark is always going to be stronger is because trademark law is protecting consumer expectations, right? We can't have people out here being confused. We can't have people out here getting tricked or scammed into buying this when it really was supposed to be that. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be. So the trademark is going to be stronger in almost any case. But then also the copyright is useless, because it's not a source identifier. He can't use it. He can't put it on the tag of a t-shirt. He can only put it in the center of one, right? Or he can't open a business under that name and operate under that trade name or anything like that, because somebody else owns it and they'll be able to sue him and stop him.
And that's unfortunate for him.
It definitely is. It happens more often than you think. If you think about somebody else who's in a kind of similar situation, is Kanye West. You know, Adidas has those patents, but Kanye, I think, is on the winning side because Kanye got them trademarks and Adidas got them patents. And Kanye is going to be able to make arguments about consumer confusion when they start dropping shoes that don't have his name. I think they already dropped their first set of knockoff Yeezys.
Yeah.
And that's what society is calling them. That's telling you, that's going to be very telling
Right.
In litigation that society is calling them knockoff Yeezys. Adidas might as well pack it up for real, but they really just trying to, you know, recoup their losses because they already had so much merch.
Yeah, and Yeezy really kind of saved Adidas.
Absolutely.
Like as a brand, because Adidas had kind of like fell off. I mean, they were still kind of in the athletic space and performance and like worldwide, but like especially in the U.S. market. And I mean, I'm sure that Yeezy is probably like the highest selling shoe brand in Adidas by far. I mean, he's brought them billions of dollars.
You know, they got Beyonce.
Off the strength of him, yeah.
I don't know, you know, who did what, if it was off the strength of him or not, but they do got Beyonce, and I know that Beyonce sell. But that still don't change the fact that they spent all that money producing all that stuff, and then they couldn't drop it with his name on it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and she does the Ivy Park, right?
Yeah, but that's Adidas.
Yeah, but that does, and also I don't think she drops anywhere near as much as Yeezys was dropping, right?
She drop every year. She be having the black pack, she be having like the seasonal packs or whatever. Okay. She drop, but then it be gone immediately.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Like better than Yeezy gone.
Oh yeah, I know that.
She doing numbers.
The hive don't play.
Sis, let me on the team. Let me on the legal team, sis, because I know you doing numbers. There's not enough agreements. There's not enough people to read all them agreements. It's not. You need one more person reading docs.
Shameless plug. Plug.
You know. But no.
Well, Beyonce, if you're listening, Attorney Rios is obviously very capable.
And available.
You gave such an eloquent explanation as to all of that. Thank you for clearing that up, because I didn't know what the hell I was really reading for real. So, but you don't only do trademark law, correct?
No, I don't.
So what other areas of practice are you in?
I do business, and that's like business legal foundation formation.
Okay.
I do mergers, acquisitions. I do entertainment, contract drafting, media agreements, influencer agreements, things of that nature. And then I also do cannabis. That's what I call it, the cannabis. Okay. 420 friendly law, but helping people obtain cannabis license or even auxiliary cannabis businesses, things that support those services.
Well, you know, so you are available, obviously, for all of that.
I am.
So, but you not only are an attorney, you're also a bit of a marketing genius, a little bit. You know, you got your Instagram feed is insane. You know.
You know, I do what I can because social media marketing is king.
Yeah.
You know, it's not really about who's the best attorney. It's about who's marketed the best.
Right.
And I think it's not about the best doctor. It's not about the best anything for us. It's about who got the best promo. And social media, well, I guess before, you know, paid ads ruined it. But social media is a major catalyst in my business. So I do a lot of social media marketing and management. I would not say I'm a guru. I would say I'm just a novice trying to make it work.
Well, that was me giving you a compliment. Just go ahead.
Well, thank you.
But, I mean, that kind of speaks to entrepreneurship and you having to wear multiple hats, right, to run your business. I mean, it would be nice if you would just, you know, you're a lawyer, you could just practice law and that's it. But as the sole proprietor of your firm, that's not possible for you. And I feel like, especially nowadays, you know, entrepreneurship kind of has this like, you know, it's this thing, right? It's almost like a fad. I don't want to call it that, but it kind of is. And a lot of people want to do it, which is not a bad thing. Right? Like, it's cool that people want to be their own boss and they want to, like, you know, own businesses and build foundations and all that. All that stuff is great. But I think there was a bit of a misconception about what that actually entailed. And like, you kind of like, when we talk about social media and it's kind of glamorized. It's like this lifestyle where just like, yeah, you the boss. Can nobody tell you what to do and all this other stuff. But entrepreneurship is actually very hard. Right? So like you having to wear those multiple hats speaks to that. So can you just talk a little bit about that, like that other side of entrepreneurship that like a lot of people don't see?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you mentioned, I'm marketing, I'm admin.
Right.
I'm accounting. Like I'm marketing, admin, accounting, outreach, HR. I'm all of those people, right? All of the time. So it can be very exhausting. And then there's just like the uncertainty of it. I could have good weeks. The phone could be ringing off the hook every day. 1 week I could, get a phone call every day, sign up a new client every day. The next week, my phone could not ring at all. I could sign nobody up at all. Both weeks, I did everything the same. I sent my emails out. I did my work like I was supposed to. I did my marketing. I was on top of it. Everything was scheduled and came out. And I still just didn't see the return, or it just didn't work out that week. So it's a lot of uncertainty in that. But then there's just that uncertainty that comes from not knowing where your next check is coming from, or, how long you're going to have to go or sustain yourself. So it's a lot of stress that comes along with it. In those areas. I do think that there is like a fad now. Everybody want to be a boss.
Right.
I don't think that, I thought I was a boss and I had a 9-to-5. Right? So like, I think that this association with like the boss's mentality is kind of, there's like a disassociation there. Being a boss don't necessarily mean that you own your own business. Like you could be a boss and it could be that you handling your business like you're supposed to. You got a bomb job that you've been at for X number of years and you about to get promoted, and you know what I'm saying? Right. It could be, you could be a boss in a lot of ways. I don't think that necessarily running a business is the only way to embody that.
Right.
But I also think that people are just real wrapped up in appearances anyway.
Facts.
That's social media is just like an appearance driven land.
Yeah. It's kind of ruined us in that way a little bit.
It has though. And that's why I always tell people, like, anything that you see on my social media, I wouldn't sow too much into that, because I have leaned into the fakeness. Like, my hair is always done, my makeup always done, I always look amazing. Yep, that's what I'm showing y'all, because that's what y'all want to see. No, everybody posts their highlights.
Right, yeah.
Nobody ever get on social media and be crying, looking a mess. I mean, sometimes people do that for like cries of help or whatever, and I think that that's sad too. But for other reasons. But I'm just saying, like, for the most part though, people don't get on there and be like, oh, this is me on my everyday, extra regular, basic life. You know what I'm saying? People get on there and show you their greatest greatness or whatever. Yeah. So I think that just the perception in general is skewed.
So is owning your firm, like, so now you just celebrated a 2-year anniversary. Go ahead and clap it up for that. 2 years of owning your own firm. Doing it on your own. So
2 years as a lawyer.
Yeah. So you started your firm right after you got sworn in, right?
Yep, same day.
Yeah.
Same day.
So what would you say as in that first day, and what was it, 2 years? That would be 2021, and it was January 2021, right? So as in that first day in January 2021 and to now, like, what would you tell India 2 years ago?
Don't take not one client until you got these workflows implemented. Not one client until you got these workflows implemented. Not one. If things don't trigger themselves and automate and send documents on their own, don't take not one client until you finish. This is funny because when I was starting my firm, I knew about automation. I knew about documents filling themselves, but I really didn't have a clear understanding of how I was going to put those processes and things in place. And I wasn't thinking about them as most important. Like, I spent like the 2 weeks before my firm opened, I spent most of my time creating the website.
Right.
Like, I spent most of my time creating the website. And the website's fine or whatever, but that time really had needed to been spent creating forms, intake forms, email templates. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. Getting process maps in place. Things of that nature. Right. So I definitely would tell myself that.
All right. Yeah, we're just getting the business in order.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what you obviously didn't know, and you've managed to stay afloat despite that. But lessons learned along the way, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, nobody knows everything to start off, and this is obviously your first time ever owning a law firm, right?
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give to not just somebody starting their own firm, but just anybody, entrepreneur, somebody starting out wanting to like go into business for themselves? Like, what piece of advice would you give them?
I would say have a plan. Have a plan, even if it's a 2-page business plan that you printed off Canva. You need to have some type of plan. Identify your target audience, your target market before you even get too deep into that plan, so that you can center your plans around the people that you are actually trying to reach. Mm-hmm. Narrow yourself and have a niche, reach a certain group of people. You're either for somebody or you're for if you're either for a specific group or you're for nobody. Because if you're trying to be for everybody, you're really for nobody.
Facts.
Right?
Yeah.
Be nice to yourself, because shit is gonna happen. It is gonna happen. Things are gonna happen. You're gonna drop balls. People are gonna drop balls on you. You're gonna be surprised by things. It's just so many unforeseeable circumstances. Get as much insurance as you can, whatever types of insurance are available for your industry, and hire a lawyer. Do not copy and paste documents off the internet. Do not try to create your own agreements. They won't be specific to you. They won't protect you. You don't know what you don't know. Bring in the experts in every area and delegate when appropriate.
Sounds like pretty sound advice to me.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good stopping point there. So you want to tell people like where they can reach you, where they can find you at?
Absolutely. You can find me at India_Esquire_711 on Instagram. Also, you can follow my firm at 711_law_group. And that's it.
Well, I want to thank you for gracing my platform with your presence. It's been an absolute pleasure. Very informative. Very, very informative, by the way.
Yeah, you owe me some money.
Yeah, we'll talk about that off camera. But once again, I want to just thank everybody for tuning in. There's a lot of content out there. You don't have to view mine. So I just want to always express my utmost gratitude and appreciation for anybody who takes the time to view. Please like, subscribe, share. Tell your mama, your uncle, your cousins, all the people that you don't even like at your job. You can tell them to watch it too. You know what I'm saying? All the views matter. And until the next time, peace.
Peace.